Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for September's live Q&A. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me okay, and if we have any weird audio issues, like we seem to have once in a while. If we don't have any audio issues, I'm getting the thumbs up from Vicky. We got the thumbs up from Vicky. We're good to go. So, yeah, welcome to September's live Q&A. Not on a Wednesday, because we went to the zoo yesterday, except we didn't go to the zoo yesterday. And at 5:30, because Vicky's at work till 5:10. So Vicky's just got home from work, and that's why we're doing it now. As always, the format of this show is going to be, I'm first going to go through all of the questions that were asked in advance on the BGG Guild. Then I'm going to go through all of the live questions. So if you are watching this live today and you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Start with the word question, and then we will trawl through the chat. Vicky will spot them and we'll see them. And if you're watching this video back afterwards and you think, I can never catch Paul's live Q&As, how do I ask him a question? Then what you need to do is head on over to the guild on Board Game Geek. It is guild number 2258. Vicky will put a link to it in the chat, and it's in the description of this video. You need to join the guild, but you need to subscribe. And then what will happen is a few days before these live Q&As, I will do a post and I will ask for questions in advance. And that's what I'm going to go through today. So let's head on over to the guild questions and see what we've been asked. Now, I have had a chance to look through these. So the first one is from Chris. Chris says, congratulations on reaching 1,200 Patreon supporters. Thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters for that. Out of curiosity, what's the official reward for supporter 1,200? Surely such an important figure in the gaming rules history deserves at least, I don't know, a statue of a national holiday. Shame we'll never know who it was. Well, I know who that supporter was, but I kind of thought about this at the time. I thought, congratulations, you're my 1,200th patron supporter. But it would have been unfair to the person who literally joined an hour before them. So yes, we have reached 1,200 patron supporters, which is fantastic. We are going to continue to try and reach more and more people if we can, and I'm going to try and up the rewards the more patron supporters we got. The actual, for those people who don't know, the channel benefit for reaching 1,200 patron supporters is that we have unlocked an extra week off work. So what I have been doing for the last few years in July, around my birthday, is I take the week off work and I live stream non-sponsored games all week. I literally do no paid work that week, but I do loads and loads and loads of live streams. And now I'm going to be doing it in December. So the first week of December is booked off work. I am not going to do any paid work that week, but I am live streaming Monday to Friday, all day, every day. And this year, apart from Monday, which I think is going to be the Pathfinder Adventure card game, one of the days I am going to be reading through one of the Fighting Fantasy books. The other 3 days, the games that I play are going to be voted on by my patron supporters. So if you are one of my patron supporters, then at some point in November, you will be getting emails asking you to vote on which games I'm going to be playing that week in December. So yes, that's what's happening. The picture is mirrored. Well spotted, Jim. The reason why the picture is mirrored, and I'm not sure how you can tell. Maybe some people can tell. But the reason why I've mirrored it is my computer is over there. So therefore, I'm looking over there, and I wanted it to appear that I was looking at the chat when I looked to the right. If I didn't mirror it, then I would be looking that way to look at the computer, and I thought that might look a little bit weird. So yes, I have mirrored the picture, but it's interesting how you can tell, because I'm not wearing anything with writing on. I didn't think you'd be able to notice. Oh, and thank you very much, George Josh. Yes, so for those of you people who don't know, all of my advertising revenue goes to charity, not just from this video, but for all of the videos that I do. Every single video, every single penny goes to charity. We donate between £500 and £600 a month to charity. And any super chats that come through, like Georgios has just sent €20 through on a super chat, that also goes to charity as well. So, yeah, thank you very much to all of my patron supporters. The keyboard has the number pad on the wrong side. Well, I don't know, some people are very, very clever. What we need to do is when we're next doing a detective mystery novel, we need to get these people round, because they spot things like that. Then again, you would as well. Anyway, next question from Keith. Over the years, which board game, if any, has appeared the most in your dreams? I'm sure I've probably dreamt about board games, but I don't think I've dreamt specifically about any board games. What has happened to me a few times in my life is that I end up having a dream which doesn't feel like a dream, where I've designed the best game ever. I've come up with some new, innovative mechanism. And my brain goes on this cycle of, oh my God, this is amazing. I've just invented worker placement, or I've invented deck building, or I've done something cool. And because it's a dream and things aren't quite working right, then my brain has thought that this was some kind of amazing genius idea. And I go through this process of trying to work it out, and it's going to be fantastic. And then eventually I wake up and go, what was that again? And I don't remember any of it. So, yeah, I've designed the world's best games just in my dreams, and I didn't know it. Next question. Given the opportunity, this is also from Keith. What is the one thing that you would ask the organisers of the Spiel event, which happens every year in Essen, to do to improve the experience? That's never been asked before, and that's actually a really good question. So Spiel, or Essen Spiel, as most of us know it as, is the world's largest, I say largest, board game convention. It happens in October. It happens in Germany, the home of modern Euro games, and it's been running for, I don't know how long. If somebody wants to look it up and tell me how long it's been running, I've been going for the last 26 years. I'm going to guess it's been running for about 40 years, maybe a bit more. And I've been for the last 26 years, and I work at the event, and it's just fantastic, and I love it. But Keith is saying, what is the one thing that I would ask the organisers to do to improve the experience? See, over the years, lots of it have changed. The whole ticketing system has changed. You can't smoke anymore in there because you used to be able to smoke inside. So there's a lot of things like that. And straight away, when I saw that question, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I had the power to change one thing at Essen Spiel, what it would be. So I'm going to throw this over to the chat. If you've been to Essen Spiel in the last few years, what would be the one thing that you would change that would make the experience better for you? Yeah, because I can't think of one. And if you're watching this video back on the rerun afterwards, leave me a comment. And if you have never been to Essen Spiel, pick a different convention. Pick a big convention that you've been to, or even a small convention, and just say one thing that could be done to make your experience better. Yeah, because I'm not sure from a personal perspective. I'm not sure if there's anything that would improve the experience for me. Moving on, James. James has said, if you could go back in time with all of the knowledge that you have now and restart your games collection, which 10 games would you buy first? Well, I thought about this, James, and I realised that the answer to that question would just be my 10 favourite games. So what you're trying to do, James, is you're trying to trick me into doing my top 10 board games of all time, which I'm not going to do. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few games which I wish I'd have got into sooner. So games which I was late to the party with, which are extremely good games, and since getting them and playing them, I've realised how great they were, and do have a little bit of regret in I wish I'd have played this game sooner. So one of those games is War of the Ring. So War of the Ring this year is having its 20th anniversary edition. Now, I do remember playing the very first edition of War of the Ring, and it was okay, but there were issues. There were some definite issues with the game that made it a bit clumsy and a bit fiddly. It was still an extremely good game, but I never got to really experience what the game had to offer because the issues kind of got in the way. Then they released the second edition of the game, and suddenly the game is incredible. And I hadn't played it until a couple of years ago. And now I play War of the Ring at least once a year, possibly twice, and I have the 20th anniversary edition coming. So yeah, War of the Ring, great game, I'm late to the party on. Star Wars Rebellion is another game that I remember people saying for years and years and years that this is one of the best games ever designed. And eventually when I played it about maybe 2-3 years ago, I was like, yeah, this is incredible as well. Another game that I was very late to the party with is Gaia Project, which again, I think I played once when it came out, but then just never went back to and didn't own a copy. In the last, 18 months or so, I've played Gaia Project about 10 to 12 times, some of which on Board Game Arena, some of which physically in person, and Gaia Project is a fantastic game. Gaia Project might actually be in my top 10 games of all time. It is that good. If it's not top 10, it's top 20. I was also a little bit late to the Terraforming Mars party, but I was only about a year after everybody else. When Terraforming Mars came out, and the entire world was raving about it, about one of the best games ever designed, and loads of people were playing it. It was about a year later when I was taught how to play the game and finally played it. Since then, I've played Terraforming Mars over 100 times, combination of physical and real. In fact, I've only played the physical game of Terraforming Mars about maybe 3 or 4 times, but the rest of the time I've played it online using the app, using various websites, things like that. So I was a bit late to the party with that one, but yeah. And there may be other games as well. There may be other games that I have in my collection that I was late to the party with, but those are the three: Star Wars Rebellion, War of the Ring, and Gaia Project, which I kind of wish I'd have spent more time playing them when they came out, rather than some of the dross that I have played over the years. Right. Next question from Emmy says, my videos covering the Anarchy have been amazing in helping you discover one of the favourite games of 2025. Thank you very much for that. Yes, Garfield Games asked me to create the how to play video for the Anarchy, which I was very happy with. And that is on the YouTube channel now if you want to watch it. Do I have any plans or desires to try the South Tigris trilogy from Garfield Games? Plans, no. Desires, yes. I am a fan of Shem and what he does and the way he runs Garfield Games. And I do like a lot of their games, some more than others. But I currently don't have any plans to try the South Tigris trilogy. Now, Shem has always been very good to me. He's one of my fans. He is a Patreon supporter. And he has basically said to me, Paul, if you are ever in a position where you short of work, you need any work, I'm more than happy to pay you to do videos for all of our games. And you might think, oh, well, that's a dream. And it is. It's fantastic. And I'm really happy about it. But I'm not in a position where I'm actually ever really going to him and saying, actually, I'm a bit short of work in a couple of months' time. Can I do one of your videos? So in an ideal world, I would have a clone, or I would have 40 hours a day, and I would be spending more time doing videos for people that I like. But at the moment, I can't fit any more videos from Garfield Games. But yes, I will look into them more, and I will speak to Shem and see if he wants me to do something for them. Next question from Emmy. Are you looking forward to any upcoming unannounced or secret games from Garfield Games? Yes. And in fact, yesterday, I can tell you this. I'm going to be demoing, well, I'm not going to be demoing. Luke Hector from the Broken Meeple is going to be demoing at GridCon, which is my own event in November, the event which me and Vicky organised together. We are going to be demoing a new game from Garfield Games. And yesterday, Shem told me all about it. So I do know about one of their secret new upcoming games. It's not going to be announced, I believe, until October. So yes, he's not even announced it yet, but I have all of the hot details. And Luke Hector also has the details, but he's been sworn to secrecy because Luke is going to be demoing the game. So I had to send Luke the rulebook for the game for Luke to have a look at it to see if he was happy with it. But yes, we are going to be demoing one of their new games, which hasn't been announced yet, at GridCon. Next question from Jesper. In your recent Sanctuary playthrough, I'd said that I was in contact with Fuhlenspieler in January regarding which of their games I would like to make a playthrough video for in 2025. Yes, they contacted me in January or February of this year and said, these are our upcoming games for this year. Which ones of these are you interested in doing a video for? And I remember seeing Sanctuary, but it wasn't called Sanctuary at the time. It was called the Untitled Ark Nova spin-off tile laying game or something like that. And I said, yeah, I love Ark Nova. Definitely interested in that one. And I think the other one that they told me about was the fan-made expansion packs for Terra Mystica, which I believe are actually getting a proper print run. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Terra Mystica. I was when it came out, but I've moved on. I don't really play Terra Mystica anymore. So I figured that, yeah, I don't have time to cover everything. So I said no to that one. The question from Jesper is, have I arranged with them if I'm going to make a live playthrough of their upcoming Feast for Odin sequel, The Danes? All I can say is that I have asked twice. In fact, I've mailed them this morning. I've mailed them this morning and said, look, even people in my live Q&A want to know if I'm covering it. I would give them probably this much of my arm to get to cover Feast for Odin Danes, because Feast for Odin is a top 10 game for me. I absolutely love it, and I've been waiting, like many other people, for the Danes to come out, and it looks like it's going to be amazing. So I have registered with them my interest on covering it on the channel, and I will give a lot to try and cover it. Next question from Andy Pelton. Have you ever played September? I didn't know there was a board game called September. I have now looked it up on Board Game Geek, and I have never played it. Next question from John. What is your favourite board game based on or derived from an IP that isn't Star Wars or Lord of the Rings? So there's a lot of great Lord of the Rings games and there's a lot of great Star Wars games. He's asking for favourite board game based on an IP that isn't Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. And I'm not sure I can pick one, but I've got three, which I thought of earlier on today. And if there's any more that if you're watching this live and you realise, wait a minute, Paul forgot to mention this, let me know. In fact, I've got an extra one as well. So the game Frostpunk from Glass Cannon Unplugged. I'm a huge fan of the Frostpunk computer game. And the board game Frostpunk is amazing and it manages to capture the feel of playing the board game. It's a very, very good board game. In the same sort of vein, the new upcoming game called Don't Starve, which I played on Saturday, also from Glass Cannon Unplugged. Very, very good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the IP of that game, whereas Frostpunk, the computer game, I absolutely love. Don't Starve for me, I like it. It's just way too punishing and I'm not very good at it and I don't want to invest the time to get any better at it. But the board game is really, really good. They've done a fantastic job with it. Star Trek Captain's Chair is a phenomenal game and I really like that. That's probably my favourite Star Trek board game type thing. Marvel Champions is based on an IP. Marvel Champions is also extremely good. And yeah, if there's any other IP themed game that isn't Star Wars or isn't Lord of the Rings that you know that I like, please let me know in the chat. Next question from Board Games James, who I've just played a game with this afternoon. What's in the schedule? Because we know you're always overbooked and you're most excited about. What's in the schedule that I am most excited about? And what's in the schedule that I'm least excited about? Likely because it's going to be a lot of work but rewarding. Well, let's have a look at the schedule. I'll be honest with you. I'm probably not going to tell you about what my least exciting is because what I'm now going to go through is a list of all of the sponsored playthroughs that I've got booked in over the next few weeks. In fact, what we could do very quickly, as long as I don't spend very long, I'm going to go through every sponsored playthrough that I've got booked in between now and Essen. It's a lot. And then I'll tell you the one I'm most excited about. Right, so what have we got? I have this Friday, tomorrow, Walk of Far Top Mountain, which that's a game which is not coming out at Essen. In fact, it's not even coming to crowdfunding until potentially quite later on this year. So that kind of doesn't count. I'm covering the Galactic Cruise expansion. On Monday, I'm going to be doing a live playthrough of Galactic Cruise expansion. We've got Primal the Awakening on Tuesday. I'm covering a Wild Venture from Pika Games. That's happening next Friday. I've then got Movers and Shakers, which is the new game coming from Quinard Games. That's going to be coming to crowdfunding. Actually, I'm really excited about that one because it's designed by Nuno and Paolo, designers of Madeira, Nippon, and other games that I love. I've also got Fortunes of Scoundrel Bay from Chili Fox Games, which I have played once, so I'm looking forward to that one. In October, I'm then going to be covering a new game from Lab 4 Games Diwan, then a new game from Vlada Shavatel. So I'm definitely excited about this one. Vlada has already warned me and said, Paul, this isn't another Mage Night. And I'm like, I know. But I'm going to be covering Severton, the new game from Vlada Shavatel, and Albi Games, not from CGE. It's Albi who are publishing this. That's on the 6th of October. I'm then going to be covering Movie Tricks, which is a really nice little quick trick-taking game, and Tranquility the Descent. I'm then going to be covering AR from Osprey Games, which I'm quite excited about because it's a big, heavy Euro. I've then got Norsewind from Aporta Games. I've got Forestry, which is from... who's Forestry from? Pink Troubadour. Yeah, Pink Troubadour. And then I'm doing... one of the Cranio games that I've got is going to get a playthrough, which is either going to be Ants, Echoes of Time, or Railway Boom. Then I've got Garden Lake, which is the new Uwe Rosenberg game. Then I've got Miskatonic Tales. And then the Monday before I leave for Essen, I'm going to be covering Threshold. So out of those, honestly, it's between two of them. Severton, because it's a new Vlada Shavatel game. But probably the one that I'm most excited about is Movers and Shakers, because it's Quinard Games. Raphael from Quinard Games is actually flying over here from Belgium. He's going to join me in the studio We're going to be playing that, and it's a Nuno and Paolo game. It's a Euro. It's probably medium to heavy, and it's probably got a lot of economic aspects to it. So out of all of those that I've mentioned, that's the one that I'm most excited about. Right, next one. How's your maple syrup going? We haven't started the maple syrup yet, have we? Have we found the maple syrup? I think we found the maple syrup. We just haven't started it yet. Right, next question from Majestic Cloth. Episode 100 was so fun to watch and I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. If you haven't seen it, on the YouTube channel, there is a very special short video. It's only about 20 minutes long. A very special YouTube video celebrating 100 episodes of the podcast. I would recommend going and watching it out if you have 15 or 20 minutes spare. That is on the channel. The question for this month's Q&A is, do I have a list of the #1 game from each of your favourite designers? I don't. I don't actually have that. And Paul Kelly has followed this up by saying, there's an idea for 10 videos, top 10 of your top 10 designers. So, yeah. I mean, we could do this. Vladia is Mage Knight. Alexander Pfister is probably Maracaibo. Uwe Rosenberg is Feast for Odin. Who else? What are the design? I mean, the problem these days is that there's so many games, so many really good designers. Yeah, I'll tell you what. If you throw some names of designers in the chat, I will try and keep an eye on them, and I will try and quickly respond by giving you my favourite game that they've designed that I can remember. which is always Stefan Feld. What's my favourite Stefan Feld game? It's Trajan, Marrakesh, and Civolution. Yeah, why didn't I think of Stefan Feld? Yeah, Trajan, Marrakesh, and Civolution. And out of those three, I love Civolution. I really don't know. I really don't know between those three. Vital Lacerda. What's my favourite Vital game? It used to be on Mars, but to be honest, as my tolerance for heaviness has gone down, my favourite Vital Lacerda game, right now at this moment, I'm trying to think what my second favourite one was after On Mars. It's either Lisboa or the New Vinhos. Oh no, Kanban. No, it's probably Kanban. But I have a funny sneaking suspicion that his newest game, Speakeasy, might actually then become my favourite from everything that I've heard about it. I've not played Speakeasy yet. There is supposed to be a copy on the way to me. I need to follow that up. But it might be Speakeasy. Reiner Knizia, favourite Reiner Knizia game? Oh, gosh. I mean, Ingenious. We've got to say Ingenious because I've played that loads. Favourite game from Tony Boydell? Probably Snowdonia. It's the obvious choice. Although, personally, I felt that Alabari was a better game. It just kind of went under the radar. Favourite game from David Turksey? Oh. It's probably Voidfall. Co-designed with Nigel. John D. Clare. Simone Luciani. Oh, we could be here all day. Martin Wallace. Favourite game from Martin Wallace? Oh. I mean, he's done so many, Martin. Yeah. Favourite game from Ricky Royal is Deckers. Ricky's not done that many games, but yeah, Deckers definitely. Favourite game from Martin Wallace? That's a tricky one because I respect Brass. I think it's a very good game. I don't know whether it's my favourite. I do have a soft spot for Australia, even though it's quite random. It's a bit of fun, but I quite like that at sometimes. Kramer and Kiesling. Oh, they've done loads of games. We're going to have to wrap this up. Yeah, maybe we'll have a discussion about this on the Board Game Geek Guild. If somebody wants to do that, Guild number 2258 on Board Game Geek, if somebody wants to go on there and start a new thread and say, what is your favourite game from the following designers? Because then other people can answer it as well. And I will have a look in a few days' time, maybe over the weekend. And I'll have a bit more of a think, because then I can look through my collection as well. Yeah, I'm struggling with the Martin Wallace one to pick one. But anyway, good idea. Next question from Marius. I like this. This says, I believe, this is Marius, not me, that minis in board games are their greatest curse for several reasons. 1, they significantly increase the price of the game. Correct. 2, they greatly increase the size of the game boxes. Correct. 3, Unpainted grey miniatures are ugly, and I believe few players have the time or skill to paint them. Correct. So Maria says, I think a fantastic alternative is acrylic standees. Acrylic standees mean less plastic and a smaller negative impact on the environment. And he says, recently I showed a miniature game and a standee from the game Don't Starve. I did. Saturday, I did a live playthrough of Don't Starve, which is going to come with acrylic standees, but you can buy the miniatures as an add-on if you want the miniatures. And he says, in his opinion, the standee looks much, much better. Am I the only one who thinks that acrylic standees are much nicer? You are not the only one who thinks acrylic standees are much nicer. There are a number of games that use acrylic standees, and I've just recently taken delivery of a game called Uprising: Curse of the Last Emperor, which uses acrylic standees. There are no miniatures in the game, and it is a smaller box because of it. It's a cheaper price, and everybody has said that the standees look really good. So yes, acrylic standees do look really good. Also, I played Kinfire Chronicles, which has acrylic standees in it as well. But Marius asks, why is the board game industry so focused on miniatures, making games so incredibly expensive, and in doing so, limiting the number of potential customers and the growth of this beautiful hobby, whilst underappreciating acrylic standees? Well, the reason is, excuse me, I shouldn't have had a mouthful of nuts before I do a live stream. We learned this last time. The reason is, Kickstarter games sell way more if they have nice looking miniatures. It's a simple fact. If you go on Kickstarter, and this is generalizing here, right? If you go on Kickstarter with a game, and then you go on Kickstarter with a game that has minis, the one that has minis will do a lot better. I think that is just a fact of life, and that's how it is. Now, like I've just mentioned, Uprising: Curse of the Last Emperor does not have miniatures. It did really well on Kickstarter, and it's a fantastic game from what everybody told me. But what if they did put miniatures in the game? It might have sold twice as many. So I like the fact that they didn't, but I'm just saying that the reason why publishers have minis is because people buy minis, and that's just where we are. Right, we have 3 questions from Frank. 1. What do you like most about the new studio? Probably the extra space. There's a lot of things about the new studio that I like. The main thing that I like about the new studio is that I can actually turn without banging into something. Yeah, I was finding that a real struggle because I lived in that room. I did all of my video editing in there. I did all of the filming in there. I did the live playthroughs, and it was just, it felt so tight and compressed. So definitely the space that I have. What do I miss from the old studio? I think the view of the derelict garages out the window. I kind of, because right now I'm looking out and I can see rolling hills and trees and sunshine. And before I used to be able to see this old but dilapidated car and some really old garages. So yeah, I think I missed the view of the old one. Seriously, I don't think there's anything that I miss about the old studio. Nope. What are your plans for Essens? Will I provide a daily Paul's Late Night update? Yes, I am planning to do that. So for those people who are going to Essen Spiel this year, I will be there. I will be working at the Board and Dice booth in the mornings from 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock, demoing Thebai. The first demo of each day is booked for patron supporters only, but after that, my demo slots are non-bookable. You just turn up and you can play. But if you actually are going to Essen and you want to come and say hello to me, that is not the best place to do it, because during those hours I will be working. I will be literally in the middle of demoing games, and I can't really stop for photos or chats or anything else. But on the Saturday afternoon, I am going to the Meet and Play event. It is an open event where you can go along and you can meet the content creators that are going to be there, and there'll be loads of content creators there. That is the best place to come along if you want to actually come along, say hi, have a chat, give me a pack of biscuits or cookies or anything like that. So yes, Saturday afternoon, it's called Meet and Play, and contact me nearer the time for the details. But basically, if you just Google Essen Spiel Meet and Play, all of the details are on there. It starts at like 2 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. I think I'm going to be there from 3 o'clock. And yes, I will be planning to do my late night live streams from the hotel, but we'll see how we get on. Third question, Thanks for continuing your vlog bonus, Hell, this time. Yes. So, yeah, what Frank's referring to is every month I do a monthly video log where I talk about all of the games that I've played in that month, and I give you a little bit of my thoughts on each of them. But for my Patreon supporters, I do a bonus vlog. It's an extra 15 to 20 minutes where I put all of the games that I've played in the month into the Pub Meeple ranking system, and then I rank all of those games. So that's where you actually get more insight and more opinions from me, and you get my real rankings. And yeah, Gaia Project was in second place. What made this game so extraordinary? I talked about this in the actual vlog itself. It was a 4-player game, and it just felt really, really tense, the whole game. It felt like 4 expert Euro gamers were all really trying their hardest, and that kind of environment was quite thrilling and exciting. I came third in the end, but it was still good. Oh, Frank's got a 4th question. A new tea game is arriving. Thanks to your excellent playthrough, we got a perfect insight into Thebai. So he's talking about Thebai. I mentioned that Thebai was better than expected regarding the weight level. Can I explain more? Yes. So when I got Thebai, which is the new board and dice heavy Euro game that's coming out this year, designed by David Turtsey, I went into it expecting it was going to be the complexity of Nucleum. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Nucleum as a game. I think it is an extremely good game, but the heavier the game, the more impact it has on my brain and the amount of brain power I need to expend, etc., etc. So, for example, if I am going to be demoing Nucleum at a convention, I really need multiple games, multiple practice games, and it's going to take me literally days to prepare. Earlier on this year, I was demoing the new version of Trismegistus from Board and Dice, which is also very heavy and took a lot out of me to learn it. I mean, I'm not complaining. I love my job, but it's still really, really hard work. And especially when a game is that complex, it takes me a huge amount of time and effort to learn it. When I got Thebai, I was expecting the same. I was expecting the same level of complexity as Nucleum, Trismegistus, and it's not. Thebai is... the heaviness comes in the decision process. The rules are actually, probably for me, medium, possibly medium to heavy, but it's putting those rules into action. So I liked the fact that I was able to get the game, learn the game within a few hours to be able to play it rather than 2 days. So yes, lighter than I expected, but don't get put off. It's not a light game by any means. It feels quite streamlined, and it also doesn't have some of the traditional board and dice games. They tend to have a lot of games where one action chains off another and chains off another. It doesn't have that. So yeah, I was happy with that. Next question from Stuart. When you went full time as a content creator, did you have a timeline and a plan for what you needed to achieve, brackets, paid work and supporters, to make a successful career change? Was there a plan B? Well, it is an interesting question. And when I actually retired from my previous career, which was 11 years ago now, we worked this out the other day. I think it's 11 years. So it was 11 years ago where I stepped away from my previous career, where I was an IT manager at a university with a team of like 15 people working in a support department. But I was already a content creator before that. So for about probably 6 months or a year, maybe even more before that, I'd started the channel and I was making videos. It wasn't my full-time job, but I was doing it alongside having another job. And it was just really done as a kind of hobby, as a bit kind of on the side thing, with a potential that I might do more of this in future. And I did have a rough plan that, you know, when I get to 50 or 55, I might actually step away from the job and do the channel full time. That was kind of the plan. But then situations happened at the place of work and I ended up leaving and, yeah, did it full time. But Stuart asks an interesting question about what I needed to achieve paid work versus presumably Patreon supporters. Well, I stepped away from my full-time job 11 years ago. The Patreon campaign has only been running for 6 years. We worked this out the other day. Is it 6 or 7 years? 8 years? Anyway, there was at least 2 or 3 years where I did not have a Patreon campaign and advertising was not turned on. These are called the dark years, where I wasn't earning very much because I was charging a very low rate to publishers in order to get the work, and I didn't have any Patreon support whatsoever. I had no money coming in other than the paid work for publishers, which was rulebook work, video work, and everything else. And I really wasn't charging a rate at all. So yeah, money was very short. I was working 70, 80 hours a week because I felt bad about the fact that I wasn't bringing much money in. So I was working lots just to try and earn more. And it did mean that, you know, back in those dark days, whenever I took time out to do a vlog, I was literally losing money. It was costing me a day and a half's work to take time out from the paid work to do the unpaid work. Now, in the golden days where we are now with the Patreon support, whenever I take any time out to do non-paid work, it's fine because that's all funded through Patreon. So I didn't have a plan. To answer your question, I don't think I had a plan, and there wasn't a plan B. I think I remember saying to you I'd become a taxi driver. I've always wanted to be a taxi driver. I think that's changed now. I don't think I want to now, but I remember from the age of about 16 or 17 right through to when I was in my 40s, for some reason I always wanted to become a taxi driver. So I think that might have been the backup plan, whereas now I have no interest in that whatsoever. But no, I don't think I had a plan. I certainly didn't want to go back to IT. I would have just, I don't know, got a job stacking shelves at Tesco or something. I don't know. There wasn't really a plan B. But thankfully, it's worked out. And yeah, people who are watching who are Patreon supporters of mine have helped, you know, make this dream possible. So thank you very much. Next question from Stuart. Now, this is another really good question, Stuart. Stuart is saying, are we any closer to a new mega channel with combining gaming rules, slicker drips, not board gaming, the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast, etc.? So essentially, we'll add to that Broken Meeple, Ready Steady Play, I'm trying to think of any other one. Basically, UK content creators who I am friends with, joining forces all together to form some kind of mega channel. I've had thoughts about this multiple times over the last 4 or 5 years, but logistically it's quite tricky. And to be honest, I'm more than happy for all of us to support each other, occasionally appear as guests on each other's channels, share each other's content, but I don't think there's going to be one mega channel where we all come into it. I don't feel, I mean, there are other channels that have done this, and if they've made it work for them, great. But I don't want to speak to somebody like Tom from Slicker Drips and say, Tom, why don't you just put all of your videos on my channel? It just feels wrong. I like everybody to have their own channel. I want to support these people, and I would like to do more to support them. But yeah, I don't know logistically how that would work. But if anybody has any ideas, then let me know. Next question from Chris Dearlove. He's talking about compensation of the start player advantage is now fairly standard. You're absolutely right, Chris. Most games now, there is some kind of compensation if you are not the start player. And that compensation is different depending on the game, but not all games. Some games don't have any. Chris is saying he wasn't once even among the best games. But wasn't once. Oh, he's saying that even some of the best games that are out there, such as Tigris and Euphrates from Reiner Knizia, it doesn't have that, and it never has that. So there are certain games out there where there is no advantage to going first. Some do it better than others. What is my view? Chris is asking for my view on particularly good or bad examples, or do I have any other comments? Well, there are, like I've just mentioned, dozens and dozens and dozens of games which have compensation for not going first. And I've not seen anything in any of those games which I would class as a bad example. I would class most of them as a good example. But this could be another good question for the guild, because I'm not only struggling to find which one of them are good examples, because they're all good examples as far as I'm concerned. You know, anything where you start with 3 food, I start with 4, and they start with 5. That's like, yeah, that seems fair to me. But let's put this on the let's put this on the guild. Let's put this as a guild question. So yeah, Chris, if you want to put it on the guild, that's great. And if you do, let me know. If Chris doesn't, we'll get it put on there later on. And the question is, what are some of the best and some of the worst examples of the compensation for not being the start player? And I'm really curious to see what you think. There is a message in the chat to say Dominion has no compensation, and this is interesting that you mentioned this. And David's in the chat as well. David in the chat has exactly the same opinion on Dominion as me. Dominion has a massive, massive flaw in the game, and that is that players do not get the same number of turns. Whenever I play Dominion, and I'll give you a hint here, I never play Dominion anymore, but when I did play Dominion, I used a house rule that every player had the same number of turns, because it is, as David said, it is a crime, literally a crime, that you will get arrested for if you do not play Dominion where every player has the same number of turns. It just feels, in a game like that, to have some players having more turns than others, it makes my insides churn. So yes, there will be a thread on the guild number 2258 with some best examples and some worst examples, or I'll tell you what, best examples of where it's worked really well, or games that don't have them that should. Right, good question, Chris. Next question, another Chris. Christoph says, I wrote these questions 2 or 3 months ago, but as I watch your Q&A regularly, I don't think they were asked. 1, have you played any Garfield Games trilogy? This has been asked before. Single games or all 3? Yes, so I've played Architects of the West Kingdom, Paladins of the West Kingdom, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I have played all 3 of those games. I haven't played the saga that puts them all together. They're the only ones that I've played. I've not played any of the other ones in any of the other series. If not, are you interested in trying any of those games? Yes, I am. I've got part of my list of things to do is to have a Shem Phillips day, or a Shem Phillips 3 days, where we play through all 3 of the games from each of the trilogies. And then a 4th day when he does the 4th one. Christoph says he's played 7 out of the 9. He loved all of the 3 South Tigris games the most, and he's very much looking forward to the 4th one, which will be the East trilogy. Yes. Why haven't I played Everdell, and am I interested in playing it one day? Why haven't I played it? It's very simple. I think the only ever opportunities that I have had to play it, I have chosen to play something else instead. But I don't have any interest in playing it. Yeah, it's just one of those games that I see other people playing, and I'm like, it's all right. But there's nothing about Everdell that makes me want to try it. There are other games as well. I hadn't played Wingspan for a long time. I now have played Wingspan. And there's another one as well, Century Spice Road. And Quacks of Quedlingberg. There's a number of really big, like hugely, hugely popular games that I just haven't played. And honestly, I don't really have any interest in playing any of those. And that's probably because I'm drowning and oversaturated with all the games that I do have, which means I have less desire to even branch outside of that and go somewhere else. Next question from Alex. How much say and control does a games designer have on the rulebook for their games? Does a designer pitch their idea to a publisher and then the publisher takes over the process, or is each case unique? Now, the reason why Alex is asking is, one word, Transgalactica. Now, this is Alex saying this, not me, but I agree. What an awful rulebook, and in today's crowded market makes a game instantly forgettable. Yes, I mean, I could rant for at least 11.5 minutes about the Transgalactica rulebook and what a shocking travesty it was and how it should never have happened and how damaging it is for the game. Transgalactica, I know some people have played it and said it's okay, but that is how you make a game not only instantly forgettable, but instantly inaccessible. I have no desire to even play Transgalactica, because even if you know the game and you love the game and you want to come over and teach me, I've heard that there's issues with the iconography that's just confusing. So why would I play a mediocre Euro game with confusing iconography when over there I have 100 amazing Euro games with amazing iconography? So yeah, but we're not going to rant for 11.5 minutes at how bad it is. Alex is asking about the rulebook process. And honestly, it is different depending on the game. Every game is different. First of all, you have the situation where a designer pitches their game to a publisher, and then the publisher says, yes, we like that game, we're going to sign that game. Here you go. Here's some money, and we'll do you a contract, and you're in for 5% of the... Yeah, okay, great. And then the publisher takes it. Sometimes, and I know that this has happened, that designer has nothing else to do with the game. Sometimes that publisher will develop the game, sometimes without the designer's consent. Sometimes they run it past them, sometimes they don't. But it has happened that when a game comes out, the designer hasn't touched that game or seen it for 3 years. So they might have rethemed it, they might have changed some of the rules, but they would have certainly written the rulebook themselves, right? That has happened. That's at one extreme. Then at the other extreme, you have Vital Lacerda. Vital Lacerda is a games designer. He has people that help him write the rulebooks, but he is actively involved in every stage of the process, right until the moment when those files are sent to the server before they go to print. So he sees it through all the way to the end. Vlada Shavatel writes his own rulebooks. So Vital doesn't write his own rulebooks. He had other people that write his rulebooks for him. Vlada Shavatel, in general, used to write his own rulebooks. He wrote them, and then Jason Holt would come along and help him write them. But yeah, it really is different depending on the game, depending on the publisher, and depending on the designer. Right, next question from Kat. Kat is the one, for those of you that don't know, that asked last month what a Jaffa Cake was, because she's in Australia and she's never heard of a Jaffa Cake. Since then, she is now been fully appraised of the situation regarding Jaffa Cakes and knows what one is, and she's trying to find out if there is a Vegemite Jaffa Cake. But she can't find one. There isn't one. Couple of questions. One, are there any decent publishers in Australia? And I thought about this and I went, well, there's only one publisher that I know in Australia, and that is Martin Wallace. Wallace Designs is based in Australia. But what I did is I posted on the Board Game Barbecue Discord server, which I am a member of, and I'm on there now because I want to just look up what they said. Because there are some Australian board game publishers. Now, I can't tell you whether these are decent or not because I don't really know them. But we have, Good Games Publishing, who did a game called Unfair. Now, I have heard of Unfair, but I didn't think it was Good Games Publishing. Outside of that, it is small independent publishers. There is Grail Games, which are based in Sydney, and there is Joey Games, which is Phil and Meredith Walker Harding. They're based in Sydney as well. So there are a few board game publishers in Australia. Grail Games, I have heard of. The other ones, I've not really heard of much. I have heard of Phil Walker Harding. But yes, the follow-up question from Kat is any of the Lord of the Rings content franchised or patented? Yes. Every single Lord of the Rings game that is published should be an officially licensed and approved product. They are not allowed to use the Lord of the Rings setting. It's not open source, if that's the word. Whereas Cthulhu, everything Cthulhu-y is. You can make an Arkham Horror game. Well, not Arkham Horror, but you can make an Arkham Cthulhu game. You can do what you want. You don't have to pay any license holders or anything like that. But all of the Lord of the Rings games that come out, they are all fully approved, all licensed, all patented, etc. The reason Kat's asking is that she's got a game that she's thinking about designing swirling around in her head, some of which could be Lord of the Rings, but can anybody make a Lord of the Rings game? You can't. I'm afraid you can't. And it's the same for anything like Star Trek, Harry Potter, anything like that. you can't really do it. I mean, what you do in your own home is up to you, but you can't be going around with cards with, you know, Lord of the Ringsy stuff on. The final question that we've had in, which I think was from Jim, and I've accidentally deleted it, is, have I seen that Galactic Cruise is on Board Game Arena? If so, what do you think of it and how I tried it? So my answer to that is yes, Galactic Cruise is in alpha testing on Board Game Arena. I have seen it. I have played it. The interface is amazing. Really, really good. And my one game that I played of it on Board Game Arena was the best game of Galactic Cruise that I've ever had. And I think I scored 204 points. So, yeah, no, it's really good. So Galactic Cruise is coming to Board Game Arena, and it's really good. The interface is very, very good. One of the best ones that I've ever seen. Right. Okay, so that's it. That's it for all of the questions that I've been asked in advance. How are we doing? 55 minutes? Oh, it felt like about half an hour. Right, we're now going to go over to all of the questions that we've been asked. But before that, let's do the contest. So every month, as part of these Q&As, I give away £50 worth of Games Law games vouchers, which you can spend at Games Law. £25 of that comes from me. £25 of that comes from Games Law. But to celebrate reaching 1,200 patron supporters last month, I decided that I was going to increase it to £75. So somebody who entered the giveaway last month has won £75. And I did the draw this morning, and the winner of last month is Matoush Kinner. So thank you very much, Matoush, for entering the contest. Now, the story is Matoush used to be a patron supporter of mine. Matoush, for various reasons, is no longer a patron supporter, but he's still a follower, still watches my content, etc., etc. And that just goes to prove that if you are a patron supporter of mine, you do get more chances to win, because if you enter the contest, you get entered twice. But it doesn't mean that you can't win if you're not a patron supporter. So congratulations, Matoush. I've already been in contact with him, and he's got £75 of games vouchers to spend at Games Law. Now, this month, what I'm going to do is... Where are we now with patron supporters? We're still over 1,200, which is great. So what I'm going to do this month, again, continuing the celebrations, I'm going to say that if the winner this month is a patron supporter, they get £75. If they're not a patron supporter, they can still win, but they get £50. So that's what I'm going to do this month. And as the number of patron supporters that I get increases, what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually increase what I give away each month by a little bit. Plus shipping has got more expensive and things like that. And £50, it can get you a game, but I think £75 is a good amount to win. And just as a reminder, that's my money and Games Law's money. No publisher is sponsoring this video. I'm not being given these games. You get to buy whatever you want to do. And I'm only able to do that thanks to the amazing support of my patron supporters. So yeah, thank you very much for your support. So this month, what you need to do to enter the contest to win either £50 or £75 worth of game vouchers is you need to fill in the form, which Vicky's going to put a link to in the chat. And this form will be in the description of the video as well. It's not at the moment, but Vicky's going to go and put that in the description of this video. And the secret word this month is actually based on the playthrough that I'm doing tomorrow. So tomorrow night, I am going to be doing a live playthrough at 8 o'clock in the evening of a new game called Fighting Fantasy Quest, The Warlock of Fartop Mountain. It is a game based on, and this is going to be reversed because, yeah, this is The Warlock of Fartop Mountain. This is my original copy of the book. And what I'd like you to do is just tell me which your favourite fighting fantasy book is. Now, if you've never read a fighting fantasy book, all you need to do is go to Wikipedia, pull up the list of all of the names of the fighting fantasy books and just pick one, right? Tell us which your favourite, or if you haven't played one, which your favourite name of one is, and that's it. I will do the draw next month, and if you are a patron supporter, you get one extra entry into the hat. So if you're not a patron supporter, you get one entry. If you are a patron supporter, you get 2 entries, and you'll win £75 instead of £50. Right, that's the contest. Hopefully the form's working. If somebody can try the form, enter the contest, and just to make sure it works, that would be great. So let's move on to the questions that I've been asked while we've been live, which I haven't seen. It is working. Great. So I haven't seen these questions, so I've not had any time to prepare. And by the looks of it, oh my God, is that all the questions? Right, no more questions, please. There's 3 pages of questions. Right, we're going to be here a while. Can you throw something at me if I start ranting about stuff? We just haven't got. Oh my God, there's so many questions. I mean, it's great. Thank you very much to everybody for watching with all of these questions, but this is huge. Right. First question from Zach. What's your favourite game bit? That red cube there. I remember you really enjoyed the Anachrony metal resource cubes. Has anything usurped that? Yeah, again, I'm not going to be able to think at this stage of my favourite game bit. No, you're absolutely right. Well remembered that my the Anachrony metal resource cubes were really good. But my favourite game bit... Oh, I'm struggling to think. Non-miniature game bit. Yeah, I don't know. No, you'll ask me on Slack later on, Zach, because right now my brain has stopped. And it's the same with Matt. Matt has got a similar question. What game recently has got the best bits and boards and which needs bling? Best game that I mean, Don't Starve was a prototype. This is a prototype. The problem is, let's just have a quick look. I'm just going to go over to Board Game Geek, and what we're going to do is we're going to transmogrify this question into which games have I played recently, which have had the best components. So I'm going to go for the last 3 months. Right, all of the games that I've played in the last 3 months. Why is nothing coming up? Oh, because I did it wrong. 1, 2, 3. 2 today. Go. Right, and sort it by game. Okay, so games that I've played in the last month that had components which I went, wow, they're really good components. I mean, Star Wars Battle of Hoth, the minis are really nice, and they're Star Wars. But other than the minis, it's all right. Oh, Fate of the Fellowship. Yeah, Fate of the Fellowship. Apart from the tokens are a little small, but I have been sent some deluxe components for that from an Etsy store. I'll talk about that in the next vlog. Yeah, Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship. The production value on that game is really good. Thebai from Board and Dice. I was really impressed by that because the actual Cadmea tiles, which you put on your board, are really thick wooden tiles. So they're really good. Tower Up has good components as well. That's a prototype. That's a prototype. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. No, that wasn't very good. Go down, go down. Yeah, some of these are prototypes. So I can't really say what the final version is going to look like. Oh, Mage Knight Ultimate Edition. That's on the list. Oh, Perseverance Castaway Chronicle. I mean, so Perseverance Castaway Chronicles, slight favoritism here as I've spent the last 3 months creating the how to play videos. And it's a big box. It's an expensive game, but the components are amazing. Okay, Mind Clash Games have done a phenomenal job with the production quality of that game. So yeah, I can't take away from Perseverance episodes 3 and 4. They are really, really good. I thought the components for SETI were really good as well. I've played that in the last few months. Yeah, there's a few. Okay, yeah, there's a few games that I've played in the last few months. And I think the one I'm going to give it to, if I was to pick one, it's probably going to be the Dice Tower from Fate of the Fellowship. And I'm not a big fan of Dice Towers. I normally do not like Dice Towers. But in that game, it works really well. And it's very, very good. So, there you go. That's those 2 questions answered. Next question from... oh, no, that's the same one. Next question from Tabletop Troubadour. I know Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor is coming soon. Have you played it yet, and what do you think of it? No. So, here's the thing. I'm doing something very different with this one. They wanted me to do some video coverage for Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor before their crowdfunding campaign starts. And there's no way I can do that because this is quite a heavy game. It's going to require me probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 days of prep in getting the game, learning the game, practicing the game, and then finding time to do a live playthrough. And as I mentioned earlier on, my schedule for the next 5 to 6 weeks is solid. I have no capacity whatsoever for any kind of videos let alone a video for a big heavy game that I've never played before. So I went back to them and I said, look, I do like the look of this game, and my Patreon supporters have all been telling me that this game is amazing and that I should cover it on the channel. But I'm not going to be able to do any kind of video for you before you need it unless I do an unboxing. I can do an unboxing video, no problem. They said, that's fine. We're doing a playthrough, but we're doing a playthrough during the Pledge Manager. So there's going to be a new crowdfunding campaign for Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor. I will be doing one of my live tutorial and playthrough videos, but I won't be doing it until probably February or March of next year, because there will be a Pledge Manager that stays open. And that's simply because I don't have time to do it. But I agreed with them. I said, look, I could do you an unboxing video, but it would literally be an unboxing video of me going, I don't know what this is, I don't know what this is, I don't know what this is. That I don't think would be a very good idea. So I'm doing something in a couple of weeks' time which I've never done before. What's happening is Rick, local friend, been on the channel loads. Rick is going to learn this game. He's being taught by the designers on Tabletop Simulator, and Rick is going to be spending some time over the next 2 weeks immersing himself in this game, reading the rules of this game, playing it on Tabletop Simulator without having the physical game in front of him. Okay? Then he's going to be coming over here, and we are going to be doing an unboxing video where Rick tells me all about the game. So from your point of view, as a viewer, you get an unboxing video, but with somebody actually telling you what the game is, explaining the game, not just showing you what the components are, but actually telling you all about the game and what the game is. So we're doing something different for that one. I've never done it before, and the game has arrived. The game is actually down there in boxes, but I can't open it until we do this live unboxing video. So yes, that's what's happening for Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor. Next question from Veljko. What's your opinion on Etherfields 2.0? Well, I've never played Etherfields 1.0, and I've never played Etherfields 2.0. I have opinions on the first edition of the game in that it was a shockingly badly produced game with terrible rulebook, awful rulebook, and almost unplayable game with people totally and utterly confused and not able to even work out how to play. That's based on what dozens and dozens of people have told me. They went away and they fixed apparently all, if not most if not all of the problems, and they released a 2.0 version of Etherfields. There was a time where I was actually going to cover it on the channel. I was curious, I was interested in it, but as time's moved on, I've kind of just gone, no, I tell you what, I liked the idea of it, but there's better games that I want to play from Awakened Realms and other publishers as well. So no, I've never played it, and I probably now won't play it because there's probably plenty of other games that I'd prefer to play instead. Next question from Frank. You've talked a lot about your reach recently. What do you mean in detail? Thumbs, comments are so important. That's how they are. Yeah, any kind of engagement on any of my videos, be it thumbs on the video, leaving comments on the video, anything like that, it all helps the YouTube algorithm. And Frank's absolutely right. My reach as such is a lot less than what you might think. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, this game's great, and 1 million people go out and buy it. I don't want that kind of level of influence, but I have to be realistic in when publishers say, oh, Paul, if you could mention this on your channel, we're going to get thousands more people into it. No. That's not how it works. It would always be nicer to have a wider reach. The disappointing thing for me, and this is where it does feel, and it does get to me a little bit emotionally, is when I get the exclusive video on a hot new game. So let's say there's a massively popular hot new game, or an expansion to an already massively popular hot new game, and I get the exclusive. I get to do an exclusive reveal video where I am showing off this brand new game, and it should be big and it should be popular, and the video gets like not many views. And then another channel covers it 2 weeks later and literally gets 5 times the views. Everybody talking about it and everybody saying, oh, thank you for showing this game. I had no idea it was even existed. And I'm like, yeah, but that's because I'm small. So that's where it does get to me sometimes, is when I get, you know, a big, new, super exciting, super hot game and I'm talking about it and I'm doing a video on it and it just doesn't have the reach. And this isn't a jealousy thing about other channels. This is just about the fact that I've been doing this for 10 years. And even when I get a big hot new title, the reach is my local followers and maybe a few extra people. But my reach doesn't really extend much beyond that. Next question from Frodo. Do you like doing collaborations with other content creators for live streams? I can answer that question first. Yes. And I wish I could do more. I really, really wish. I always complain about how little time I have to play the games that I've got and how I'd love to have more time so I can do more playthrough videos. Way above that is doing more collabs, right? I want to do more collaborations with, well, everybody, really. I mean, you know, Tom Heath from Slicker Drips, Rado, Mike from Ready Steady Play, the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast people, some ranting videos with Luke Hector would be quite fun, Derek from Kanji Studios, Kovray, Tyler and Ilya, you know, those sorts of people, Mark Meyer from Board Game Coffee. I mean, the list is almost endless. I would love to do more collabs with them. The reason I don't is that I already struggle to find time to do all of the content that I want to do, let alone organising something with somebody else, which is more hassle logistically, time and everything else. But yes, I would absolutely love to do that. So Frodo says, if so, yes. Any chance we could see more of them? Well, there we go. I've answered that. Again, I have had I had this idea about 2 years ago that me and Rado would start a regular monthly podcast called Across the Pond. And then he started doing one with Tom Vassell, almost exactly the same sort of idea that I had, which lasted for quite a while, but something like that. I've wanted to do a weekly show or every other week with Derek from Kanji Studios, where we just talk about one game that we played, our best game that we played that month, and why it was the best game, and things like that. I've got so many ideas for these things, and they would be great, and I'd love doing them, but I just don't have time. Next question from Zach. Now that you have finished the Perseverance videos, what Mind Clash work do I have coming up? None. That's it. I have terminated my relationship with Mind Clash. I don't want to do any more work with them. I'm only joking. I don't have any more paid work booked in the calendar for any future Mind Clash videos. But I still have a professional relationship with them. I just don't have anything else booked in. Apart from GridCon. They are sponsors of GridCon. So we're going to be doing some Mind Clash demos at GridCon. Actually, I'm going to contact them. So tomorrow, I am actually going to contact them and say, just out of interest, what's on the horizon for future work that you want me to do? Because with respect to how to play videos, I'm booked through to next June. That's how far I am booked in advance for how to play videos. So if they want me for a how to play video for next year, they might have to ask me. For example, the Voidfall expansion, they might want me to do a how to play video for the Voidfall expansion. Well, if they do, they need to get booking in fairly soon. So yes, I will give them a shout and find out what they want me to do next. Right, next question from Frank. When will we see a gaming rules video on the BGG starting homepage sponsored by BGG? Probably never, to be honest. I mean, you know, I'd love to, but BGG already have their content creators that they get to do videos on their page. They haven't asked me. If they did, I'd probably say yes, but yeah, they haven't asked me, and the chance of them asking me, I would have thought would be slim. If you know anybody at BGG and you want to suggest it, then I'm more than happy to do something like that. But yeah. Next question from Peter. How can I trick you to finally make a Paul Grogan's Top 10 2024? You don't need to trick me. Oh yeah, I need to do that, don't I? What year is it now? I'll do it in the summer. It's already September. Oh, wow. I don't want to do what I did last year. Last year I did it on December 31st. When are we going to do that? I don't know when I'm going to do that. And the way we did it last year kind of worked. It worked well. I did it as a live stream where I used the Pub Meeple ranking system and I ranked all of the games against each other. I'll probably do the same this year, although I felt a little uncomfortable about it because I ended up ranking games which I preferred and I enjoyed the most rather than which is the best game. So for 2023, there is no doubt in my mind that Nucleum and Hegemony were two of the best games that came out in 2023. Absolutely. And if I did a top 10 games from 2023, they would both be in there. But when I did this live stream, and if you want to watch it, if you want to see Paul's live stream where I rate all of the games from 2023, it's on the channel. It was a live stream and it went live on December 31st, 2024. Nucleum and Hegemony actually came quite low. They came middle of the list. And that's because I was ranking the games based on which ones I enjoyed playing the most. And that's a different ranking system to which game do I think is amazing. Do I think Hegemony is an amazing game? Yes. Do I think it's a brilliant design? Yes. Is it one of the best games that came out that year? Yes. Do I enjoy playing it? Not so much. Bit long, bit heavy. I'm not a fan of asymmetric games. So, yeah. You don't need to trick me, Peter, but you do need to keep reminding me because I do keep forgetting and I don't have anything booked in. So I do need to book something in for that. Right. Next question from Frodo. Who would be the dream person to play a game with outside of the board game industry and somebody you haven't played a game with before, and what game you would play? So the dream person, and I've actually had this for quite a number of years now, would be Lewis Hamilton. It's never going to happen, but it would be fun. If he came over for the day and we played a game, it would be fun. What game would I play? It would probably be something which was short and accessible. So it would probably be something like Just One. I mean, the absolute dream would be I'd get to go along and meet a number of the Formula One drivers and we'd play a game of Just One together. Because they would all have fun, they'd all laugh, it'd be hilarious, it'd be great. And what I'd be doing is I'd be introducing them to the fact that these modern board games are fun. You know, forget what you know about Monopoly. Games are not like that anymore. They're kind of like this. That would be my incentive for doing that. That would be that. Next question from Malachite. I know you did the tutorial and rulebook for Oathsworn. Any plans for a playthrough on the channel? No plans for Oathsworn, but yes, I actually did a lot of work on the rulebook for Oathsworn. My name might be in there, and it might not be in there, because, I mean, I did dozens of hours of work on the Oathsworn rulebook, but then I handed it over back to the publisher, who then gave it to somebody else, and they completed the job. And I don't know what they did with it. They might have changed a lot of things, and that might be why my name is not on the final rulebook, because I wouldn't really want my name on the final rulebook if somebody else did loads of other work on it. And I did the official how to play video for Oathsworn when it was on Kickstarter, but that was before it came out, and they did change a couple of the rules. Any plans for a playthrough? There are currently no plans for a playthrough of Oathsworn on the channel, and the reason for that is this same old thing. I have too many games and too little time. There was a time and a place where Oathsworn might have got played, but then ISS Vanguard got played instead, and Agamonia is getting played instead. And I'm kind of interested in Oathsworn, but there were certain things about the mechanisms of the game that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I know that if I do go back to it to play it, I'm going to have to get over those issues that I had with it. Just personal preferences, really. Next question from Peter. How do you deal with an over-competitive player where their enjoyment comes from winning and become visibly frustrated at the table or become negative towards the game if they play poorly? Well, there's two different things there. I would like to think that most of the people that I play games with are trying to win. We are here to try and win the game. That is our primary objective. So I referred earlier on back to that Game of Gaia project. That was an extremely competitive Game of Gaia project, and it was great. So I want people to be competitive. I want them to be spending every bit of brain power that they can in trying to work out what the best move is so that they can play to the best of their abilities. The second comment on that is people who become visibly frustrated at the table or become negative towards the game if they play poorly. It happens. Thankfully, it doesn't happen to me very often. How do I deal with it? Well, I have the issue where if somebody is saying something which is not the truth, in walking away. So if they don't like the game and they're saying, oh, it's absolutely rubbish because of X, and X is actually not true. Let's say, for example, let's say, for example, they play a game of Tolkien. So they play Tolkien for the first time, and it gets to the first feeding phase, and they lose 30 points because they didn't have any food. Extreme example, right? So they lose the game, and then they start going on a rant at the end and say, this game's rubbish. This is the worst game ever because I lost 30 points for not feeding my people. Right. I wouldn't be able to walk away from that situation. I would have to sit down and politely explain to them that that is an integral part of the game. It is a fundamental part of the game. If you don't like it, that's okay. Don't play the game again. But that doesn't make it a bad game. The fact that we reminded you needed to feed your people on rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, and you ignored us and you decided to go off and build a bridge instead, that was your choice to not get food. So don't complain about the fact that you didn't get any. Anyway, I'd try. Oh, the miniatures, by the way. These are miniatures that are going to be used tomorrow night, in the playthrough tomorrow night. These are from the Fighting Fantasy Quest game that I'm going to be playing tomorrow. I didn't paint these, somebody else painted these. The paint job on these is exceptional. It is better than I could do. It is really, really good. And these will be on display tomorrow night if you want to see them in detail. Fighting Fantasy Quest tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Right, next question from Jim. Is the studio officially completed now? No, there is still more work to do. In fact, because of everything else that's been going on in the last 2 weeks, we've actually made no progress on the things that we need to make progress on. The computer still hasn't moved. The other monitor hasn't been installed. The lighting hasn't been put on the walls. The desk is not in place. Yeah, there's actually still quite a lot to do in the new studio. But it's still working, and it means I can do this, and that's fine. But there is still a lot more to do. Have I had chance to do any miniature painting recently? No, unfortunately, the free time that I've had to do any miniature painting or watch TV has been, well, zero. And I don't want to complain too much here, but I think I did about 100 hours work last week. And the only hour that I had that was free, I went to the gym, came back, ate food. That was it in a whole week, including weekends. Yeah, wasn't a good week last week. This week's better, but I have not had any free time recently. It's been very busy. Next question from Jim. Have you had a chance to check out Games Workshop's spearhead version of Age of Sigmar? No, not at all. To be honest, I don't keep up to date with what Games Workshop are doing. I have tried to reach out to Games Workshop in the past, and I got such a rude response that it kind of disincentivized me to have any contact with them again. So no, I haven't checked out Games Workshop's spearhead version of Age of Sigmar. Yeah. Right, next question from Randolph. When you review a game, do you ever compare the game to older similar games? I understand the reviewing in a vacuum, but I always want to hear if a game is better than what's already available. Yeah, so Randolph, I don't actually do review videos anymore. The only reviews that I do will be, for example, Luthier, that we played a week on Friday, and Fate of the Fellowship that we did on Friday. So if I do a playthrough of a video and it's not sponsored, then at the end of the video we'll do a review. And I don't always compare it to older games, but if there is comparison to be drawn, then I would do that. So if I played a game like Fate of the Fellowship, for example, okay, I did. Fate of the Fellowship that we played on Friday, if you're interested in that, I did a playthrough and I gave my thoughts on that game in the end. I think in that video, I think I compared it to previous versions of Pandemic by basically saying, I don't ever want to play Pandemic again, but I can see myself playing this game a lot. So yeah, I think comparisons where they are appropriate is something that I would do rather than just talking about this and not mentioning the other things. Next question from Beth. How many chickens do you have? 3. This one is a birthday present from Vicky. So there's 2 other ones which are downstairs, and then Vicky bought me this one as a birthday present. So we have 3 of them. Do we need any more names? Well, I think Abbott and Costello is what... You don't like Abbott and Costello? Okay, Vicky didn't like Abbott and Costello. If you have any suggested names for the new one, what did you say? Stripey? Because it's got stripes? No, you didn't say Stripey? Okay. Anyway, if you've got any names for the new chicken, let me know. Lord of the Rings or Star Wars? Oh, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, it's impossible. That is an impossible thing. Lord of the Rings and Star Wars were my 2 things as a kid that defined what I liked. So yeah, I don't think I've ever been asked that before, and I don't think I can answer that question. There is a time and a place for both of them, so I don't know. Top 3 non-gaming days out. Well, we don't really get much days out, but going to the zoo, we both like going to the zoo. Going geocaching, we both like going geocaching, although we've not been for about a year. What else would we say? Going to an escape room. Yeah, the other thing that we like doing is going for an escape room and then for food afterwards. So yeah, there you go. Jackie is asking, is your craft room set up and done? No, not at all. But as of yesterday, Vicky's finished painting the walls. So the walls are finished. The carpet has been ripped up. And next Thursday, the new flooring is going down. And then on the Saturday, Vicky's parents are coming over and you're going to start putting things in. But you don't have a desk yet, bookshelves or anything like that. No, it's going to be a work in progress. But the next stage is that the flooring is going to be going in next Thursday. Apparently Tony Boydell's in the chat. Hi, Tony. Good to see you. Thanks for coming over on Monday. Was it Monday? God, it was only Monday. Feels like longer ago than Monday. Right, next question from Brian. What are the best places to eat near the GridCon venue? That's probably a question for other people because we've not been to any of the other places to eat. But yeah, pop that question on the GridCon channel on Slack and you will get some responses there. I personally have not been to any of the restaurants in that local area, so I can't comment on that. Next question from Andrew. Which game do you think deserves more attention? Oh, right. A game which I think is a really good game, which isn't that popular. I mean, I can't say something like Mage Knight because that is hugely popular. So a game which isn't that popular that I think should be a lot more popular. Again, I'm looking through my list. Let's just expand this list. Let's go back to all of the games I've played this year. And I'm going to go through this because a lot of these games are very good, but a lot of these games have already got a lot of hype and a lot of attention. So I'm trying to find one which isn't massively popular. So the one game that I did play a few weeks ago, which was called Dutch Resistance Orange Shall Overcome, I don't think that's a big game, and it was a really good game. So I would put that one up there, that it deserves to be more popular than it is. Other games on here, I think Spellbook's really good. I mean, it's not a massive game, and it's an okay game. The reason why I think Spellbook should be more popular than it is because most people really don't like it, and I actually think it's really good. So instead of it being a weak game, it's actually an okay game. That's already popular. That's already massively popular. That's already massively popular. There's a lot of games here which are massively popular. I thought this was going to be an easy question to answer. I'm sure there's a few. I'm sure that I have a few games in my collection, which I really rate. I tell you what, let's do this a different way because we've got time. We're not overrunning at all. I'm now going to go to my collection on Board Game Geek, and I'm going to sort it by ranking. So I'm going to sort it by the rating that I give the game, and I'm going to find one on here which I think deserves to be more popular. Under Falling Skies. Under Falling Skies, I think, is a phenomenal game. I have given it a 9.6 out of 10. And I know a lot of people love the game, but I think Under Falling Skies deserves to be way more popular than it actually is. Also, scrolling down the list, no, most of these are super, super popular. Agamonia. Agamonia should be as popular as other similar titles. It's never going to be as popular as Gloomhaven, and I get that, but Agamonia is, for me, the absolute best game in the genre of fantasy, role-play type, cooperative, campaign-driven games. It's incredible. So I think Agamonia deserves to be way more popular than it should be. Their Kickstarter campaign or whatever should have made 1.5-2 million, and it didn't. It only made a few 100,000. Thankfully, it's been produced and it's great, and there's been another printing and stuff like that. So it's popular enough to actually have printing, but it should be more popular. Other games on my list, I really liked La Chita from years and years ago. League of Six, I think, is also a really underrated game. Yeah, so there's a few of them. Yeah, okay, there's a few games which I think deserve to be more popular and more attention. Next question from Sean: have you any plans to play the Galactic Clues achievements? Yeah. So Sean, Monday, it's actually happening. Monday afternoon, a couple of people from Dranda Games are coming over, and we are going to be playing through Galactic Cruise with one part of the new achievements expansion. Where's the Galactic Cruise box? Could you just pass me that Galactic Cruise box? There. On top of Scoundrel Bay, below Kinfire Council. There. Galactic Cruise, that's it. Thank you. Right, Galactic Cruise achievements. It's going to be backwards because I've got the video mirrored. But yes, the prototype is here. I am going to be showing off on Monday all of the contents of this box. I'm going to be showing off on Monday. Literally. Right. Damon says, any chance of a new Mage Knight playthrough before my next birthday? Yes. Yes. It is planned. I'm not allowed to tell you the date, but I do have a playthrough video booked in for Mage Knight with the new expansion content, Apocalypse Dragon, and it is going to be before my next birthday. My next birthday is July next year, so yes. Andrew, what is the best game to play in the back of a taxi? Best game to play in the back of a taxi? Probably I Spy. I think you mean best board game to play in the back of a taxi. Probably a game that I've never played. Something like, I've heard of this, but I've not played it. Pocket Paladin, which is Mage Knight, where you play with a hand of cards. And I believe that there was a previous game called Gloom Holding, which then got turned into Buttons and Bugs, where you literally played a game by holding a pack of cards or holding a deck of cards or something, and you turned cards round. So probably something like that. I've not played any of those games. And I think there was another game that used 9 cards that was really popular. That was it, Palm Island. Thank you very much, Aidan. That's the one I was trying to think of. Palm Island. Yeah, never played it, but I've heard about it. Next question from Randolph. With as many games as you play, how do you keep track of the rules? Do you keep notebooks or write up your shorthand rules? No. So one of my superpowers that I was born with is the ability to remember rules of games. And it is something that I do actually get asked this quite a lot. How do you keep all of the rules of all of these games in your head at one time? And the honest answer is I don't keep all of them in my head at one time, but it is one of the things that I do seem to be very good at is remembering rules. And some weeks is harder than others. Like, I tell you what, in October, those 2 to 3 weeks before Essen, my brain is going to be melting because I am doing, I think, 4 or 5 different playthroughs each week, which means having to learn, practice the rules of one game, and then remember another game. And remember, yeah, it's a constant struggle, but it's my hobby, it's my life, it's my job. I love doing it. Yeah, I'm blessed with having a good memory for rules of games. But I don't have any secret method. I don't have any shorthand notes. I don't write it on the inside of my glasses or anything like that. It's just in my head. Next question from Marcel. Are you planning a Spiel most anticipated video? And if so, do you think it will be uploaded? So if I do a video, it will definitely be uploaded. I will probably, and I don't actually have this planned. And I've already said how I don't have any time free between now and Essen. But I want to do this. So, yeah. Okay, what we can do, we might be able to do this because... Yeah, okay, I'll try and get something done. It will be uploaded. It will very likely be a live stream. And it will be very likely with some other people. Because what I did last year is I hosted the show and I got other content creators to tell me what their most anticipated games were going to be. Because I didn't have the time to look myself. And I contributed and I threw a few in myself, the ones I know about. But it's very difficult for me to say something like, oh yeah, Sanctuary is on my most anticipated game for Essen. I've got Sanctuary. I've played it 12 times. I've covered it on the channel. I forget sometimes that not everybody has done that. And it is going to be released at Essen. I'm fortunate to have a copy in advance and play it. And therefore it's difficult for me to, remember to include it on such lists. But there are plans for some kind of thing happening on the night before I leave for Essen. Now, we did have some plans, but I might speak to the people involved and say, shall we do a live stream instead? And we might do that. So it might be happening on the Monday before I leave for Essen. Thank you very much, Marcel. Right, next question from Jonathan. Any plans? Any planned playthroughs of Galactic Cruise? Yes, we've answered that one. Next question from Randolph. May have missed this. Have you already said? Have you already demoed or seen All Lodge, the Prague Astronomical Clock Board? No. I've heard about it. I've heard lots of people saying it's really good. I have sent them an email saying that I'm very interested in it, and I've heard nothing back. So what can I do? Next question from Matt. Have I played Munchkin Dungeon? I haven't played Munchkin Dungeon. I would avoid anything with the word Munchkin in the title. I assume it's going to be awful and definitely not for me. Stefan, do you have plans to cover the new Danny Garcia game, Coming of Age? I would like to. It sounds really good, and I know Rada really liked it, and I'm a big fan of Danny Garcia and what he does. I am behind on my emailing publishers and asking for copies of games. So, yeah, it's definitely on my list of ones that I need to look at because I'm a big fan of Danny. But, yes, not done that yet. Right, next question from Thomas. How do you feel about illegitimate gaming platforms such as Tabletop Simulator? Shouldn't it be discouraged to use illegal mods as designers should get paid for their work? Yeah, I'm in two minds about it. So let's say, for example, what was the last game that I played on Tabletop Simulator using an illegal mod? Star Trek Captain's Chair. So, Star Trek Captain's Chair, a game which I am professionally involved in. I have done sponsored playthrough videos. I have a very good working relationship with the publisher. I'm close friends with the designer, or one of the designers anyway. And yet, I played a game of it on an illegal mod on Tabletop Simulator, where somebody has scanned in all of the cards and put a mod up on Tabletop Simulator. And you might think that that's wrong. Now, that video was not public, right? I played the game on there because I really wanted to play it. Rick really wanted to play it. Rick lives half an hour away, or 15 minutes if he's driving, and it was raining. And for whatever reason, we just said, look, do you want a game of Captain's Chair? Yeah. Right. Well, there is a Tabletop Simulator mod. Okay. It was the best way for us to play the game. Now, we've both got the game, and that's the thing here. We've both got that game. Now, I didn't pay for it. Rick did. But if I didn't have the job that I had, I would have bought that game. So I think if you have bought a copy of that game and then for convenience purposes you play that game on an online platform with somebody else who's also bought that game, then I'm okay with that. I think. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Yeah, it is an interesting question. It is a bit of a moral dilemma. I've also used unauthorized mods on Tabletop Simulator to practice games that I physically have with other people. So if I've got a game in my collection and I'm doing a playthrough video and I need to learn how to play, and one of my patron supporters says, well, I know how to play, Paul, I'll teach you how to play. Oh, there's a TTS mod. Great. We'll hop on, we'll play it on TTS. That's just the best thing for me to do at the time. And it's not, that in particular is not taking any money away from anybody. So that's why I don't have an issue with it. Right, we do have one final question that has just come in because somebody's given us a super chat. Thank you, Luca. As I mentioned earlier on, that super chat does not go to me. I don't get that money. That all goes to charity. But we will answer your question very quickly. But then that's the last question for today, I think. Yeah. The last question is, Voidfall or Elder Scrolls? What to get next? I am a huge fan of Voidfall. I am a huge fan of Elder Scrolls. Personally, if you presented me with both of those games right now, I would play Elder Scrolls. But there is a caveat here. Elder Scrolls is a campaign game where you have to play 3 sessions. Each session of Elder Scrolls takes the same length of time as Voidfall. So if I played Elder Scrolls tonight, I would only be able to play the start of a campaign. I wouldn't have chance to actually play the whole campaign. Whereas if I played Voidfall tonight, I would be able to play a complete game of Voidfall. So there's 2 differences. Also, both games are massive. Both games are expensive. Both games have a very high production value. But both games are very, very different games. Voidfall is a competitive space 4X game with no random elements and deterministic combat. You can play it cooperatively if you want to, whereas Elder Scrolls is a cooperative game. It's more like an RPG where you're leveling up your characters. So if you don't want a cooperative game, you go for Voidfall. If you want a cooperative game and you want a fantasy one, you go Elder Scrolls. For me, those 2 games are never leaving my collection. I love both of those games and they are utterly fantastic. But there you go. That's my thinking with those. Anyway, we are all done. It's 7:10. We've not been 2 hours. Did we spit out? Did I fly through those 3 pages of questions? Should we do another 3 pages? No. Vicky's saying no. Right. We are all done. So just before I disappear, don't forget the contest. The contest is open right now and you could win either £50 or £75 of games vouchers from Games Law. If you win and you are one of my patron supporters, you win £75 of games vouchers. If you win and you are not one of my patron supporters, you win £50 of games vouchers. I'm experimenting with this idea. It feels like the right thing to do because I want to give something back to my patron supporters. Let me know what you think. To enter the contest, it's very, very simple. You need to click on the link, which Vicky's going to put in the chat now, and it's also going to appear in the description of the video. And you need to put in what your favourite fighting fantasy book is. And if you have never played a fighting fantasy book, go onto Wikipedia, find the list of all of the different fighting fantasy books, and pick the one that you like the sound of the most. Just pick the name. That's all you need to do. I will be doing the draw in about 4 weeks' time. So if you're watching this video back or you're listening back to this as a podcast, then you can still enter the contest. And just a quick mention of the podcast. If you're watching this live Q&A and you think, oh, I wish this was a podcast so that I can listen to it on the way to work or whatever, you can. You just need to go onto all of your usual podcast providers, search for the all-new Gaming Rules podcast or whatever it's called. This is episode 102. So yeah, we've been going for quite a while. And finally, big thank you to all of my patron supporters. I know I say this all the time, but without your support, this channel isn't a thing. I don't do what I do without your support. And although you might be thinking, well, 1,200 patron supporters, Paul's doing all right. Yeah, Paul is doing all right. He's doing really well. But if you want to support me on Patreon, that would be absolutely fantastic. It's patreon.com/gaming rules. You can join for free. You don't get any benefits, but you will get updates about what I'm going to be doing. You can join us for a little $1 a month, but you don't get any real benefits for that other than financially supporting me. But at $3 a month or higher, you get access to the Slack channel. You get access to behind the scenes videos and all sorts of other things. And remember, if you are one of my Patreon supporters, you will be voting on what games I'm going to be playing in December, as well as other things that I'm going to be doing as well. But for now, I'm going to wrap things up, say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all next month. Bye-bye.